Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It is time for dirt. It is time for sprint cars. It is time for Huset Speedway. It is the Neuropower Rewards South Dakota Bash, round 4 of the 2025 Wide Open Clothing Australian Sprint Car Championship Series by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. Been looking forward to this event for a long time. The first time ODSE has ever run an event at one of the newest dirt ovals on the iRacing service. Huset's is small, it is tight, it is high banked. It's going to be a magnificent race, and bringing it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. It's me, Reese Gardner, with Scott Rankin alongside me in the comms box. Jake Kennedy is handling production behind the scenes. Oh, Scotty, it's time to get our sprint car on once again at a track that I haven't seen much racing at, but just take a look at this place. It's so compact.
Yeah, it is very tiny. I think the first words out of all of our mouths when we had a look at the track map loading in tonight was, gee whiz, that is small. It is going to be a tiny little place, and from all respects that we've been hearing about the racing that goes on here, very tight, very narrow, very difficult to run the outside line. So it's going to be a challenging track here today. But as soon as you get, I mean, this is effectively the street course of dirt. The dirt world is probably the best way to describe it. It's got a little bit of difference in terms of the width and the rotation you're going to get through at the corners. Only a little bit. And when you Google this place, going looking for banking figures, the only thing that pops up, lots. Huge. All of it. So it's a high bank place apparently, but nobody knows how much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is honestly a pretty crazy track, and I'm looking forward to seeing the best in Australia with a few blow-ins from the United States and elsewhere racing here today at this track that has been entertaining spectators since 1953. Well, before we get things rolling for this broadcast, we should have a look at how things stand going into it. And of course, the championship standings out of last round see Ethan Winter on top. But as we pointed out at the end of last week's broadcast, Clayton Davies has narrowed that gap to just 9 points, taking the victory. It's going to be an interesting championship fight for sure. Nathan Vanderwacker only another 10 points behind that, but at the moment, looks like our top 3 are breaking away a bit.
They are, but have a look at how close it is from there on out as well. So it is quite tight in that mid-pack. Yeah, worthwhile actually taking a look at the team's championship standings as well, because that's going to give us a little bit of a story about how they're all racking up. And Maddington Toyota Vortex Sim Sports leading the way out, but only by 3 points over BBS Esports. Remember, Ethan Winter for BBS Esports does lead the way in terms of the overall championship, so that certainly helps their points totals. But again, it's the same sort of thing, you know, a couple guys out in front, and then everyone's really compact in sort of that midfield. Everyone's right up and next to each other, so this is going to be a good old night.
Yeah, absolutely. This is close team standings, close drivers championship. We got a good night here for you at Huset Speedway, and it is a little bit longer here in the Neuropower Awards South Dakota Brawl. Bit of a special format for this, a 10-lap heat format with the top 4 advancing to the A main. The C main is 15 laps, B main 20 laps, A main, of course, the top 10 ordered from the Redraw, thanks to our good friend the Spinny Wheel. But the A main extended to 40 green flag laps with a max of 24 cars. Tell you what, they're going to be taking up a lot of space around here.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things we talked about, the track length. Yeah, that's certainly one of the cases here. 600 meters in terms of the track length means that we are going to need those longer heats to just try and sort things up. So just watching along at the moment, the practice session will be rolling out here, and the biggest thing is, how about these shots? How about the rolling around the track? And a big shout out to our sponsor as well, Neuropower, for coming on board and sponsoring tonight's racing action as well. 40 laps from the A main for the 24 cars to get there. And don't forget our redraw as well. This is going to be, I think, probably the biggest challenge of the season thus far. I think the big thing, Reese, is that when you look up and down the field, we've already seen some big mistakes from some big potential drivers.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's been a truly smooth round for anyone at this point in the season, but there's still plenty of time for that to change. So here's hoping that we get a good start to this night, as it looks like drivers are heading out at the moment for their official practice laps. Just a couple of them allowed before we move things over to qualifying. It's Cameron De Bruin out there at the moment, and also the number 51 of Bradley Oldfield, whom we are told is making his 50th ODSE start this week. So happy, what is it, silver anniversary to Mr. Oldfield?
Yeah, and I think more importantly, the next start out for him will be the 51st start, which his car number 51. I think that's more of an important one. 50 is a great number, don't get me wrong, but matching a race number. So we'll have to bring that stat continuation next week. But yeah, big advice from Race Control here about this track run-in session and warm-up session is middle only, please. They don't want the top to slick off too much. They don't want the bottom to slick off too much. They want to create a little bit of variance between the lanes, which should help some overtaking. So again, that's series admins going, what can we do to try and help racing at this racetrack and evolve it? And again, Reese, you know, iRacing continues to add new tracks, new configurations, new ways to go racing. And I think one of the biggest things that we've seen, maybe there is some new road courses coming to the sim, but I think the dirt community is slowly getting a lot more of the support that it certainly deserves.
Yeah, for sure. This qualifying session's certainly going to run rampant, isn't it? And well, who's going to get the best run around here and get the quick time? We've got our first couple of drivers emerging onto the circuit. Looks like the likes of Hadley Boyce, Nick Mithen, Jamie Stovold, and potentially Colin Bocus are looking to get out there at the moment. Stovold, and Hadley Boyce, the only ones out there at the moment. So first times coming down here with an 11.3 from Stovold to start things off. We'll see where Hadley Boyce puts his car there. It's going to be P2 overall, with the first lap in the 10-second bracket being set by Nick Mithen. Colin Bocus is going to put himself provisional P1 on a 10.4. Yeah, 10-second lap times. That shows you how small Huset's is. And good point about the race administrator messages. Brady Baldwin was talking to us before we went live, and he said this track actually slicks up really easily. It's probably the track on iRacing that slicks up the fastest. So the drivers do need to be careful where they run in those opening sessions.
Yeah, and I think more critically than that, 10-second lap time, right? So we're running more laps in these heats. The track is smaller, which means you're going to be hitting those dirt patches a lot more quickly, and it's going to fire off quickly. So yeah, there is a big risk to the drivers that the track is going to evolve a lot more quickly lap to lap. Again, 10 seconds lap, so it is going to come back around a lot more quickly as well. But yeah, it's target get yourself locked in, see what you can do. And I think this is also one of those ones, again, street course racing, right? If you think about it, what is that creates the racing there? Well, it's the tight confines of the racing circuit. I think this really encompasses that as well. So this is one of those nights where even your leaders can make a mistake, find themselves in the barriers, and the guys you expect to be up front. This is probably going to be a mixed bag because, again, first time we as a series have been here. Now, setup builders out there will have certainly run at this track before. They will have come and they would have built something for this track before. But this is the first time that these guys are really going to test each other and go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, exactly. There are a couple of drivers in the field that have had experience racing in the World of Outlaws Pro Series that happened over the summer, and they'll certainly be taking some of that experience through as Paul Bryan sets a 10.5, the quickest time thus far for Cole Ferguson, a 10.4, and you're seeing that line being pushed ever further up there as Clayton Davies tries to bring some momentum up here. It looks like running reasonably high through that fourth corner is easier for a better run around. It's certainly worked for Davies. 10.3 is now the best time, and it's matched by Kobe Noonan.
Yep, so early stages of qualifying now in the book, and Davies now gets his way towards that top of the points, which is kind of where we expected him to be. 40 seconds left on the clock. Still a number of drivers towards the back end of the field to set a time, including championship leader Ethan Winter. This is an important lap, that is a big mistake. Vanderwacker now is going to try and wrap the bottom as he comes off of, I believe that was 1 and 2. Gets down here to 3 and 4. He'll try and drive it back to the stripe. What has Vanderwacker got for us on his opening lap? Still winding up. Still trying to find the time. 7.607. As the time finally settles, it's a 10.83. Vanderwacker's deep in the field as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if Winter's going to be able to get across the line in time here. He just gets across with a few seconds to spare, and it puts him up to 7th, but that is not ideal for some of our biggest championship contenders qualifying, not going their way. The quick time will belong to the number 50 of Clayton Davies. Just 0.003 of a second separating himself from multiple series champion Tim Ryan here at ODSE. Kobe Noonan, Cole Ferguson and Blake Walsh round out your top 5 with Bocus, Winter, Norman, Berkeley and Craig Dunn rounding out your top 10 times. With that, we can get into the heats here as sponsored by McSlide Race just after the Australian Speedway results qualifying. Heat 1 is going to have Davies up front with Colin Bocus alongside him. Ayrton Smith and Matthew Stables on the second row with Oldfield and Schultz 5th and 6th. In 7th, it's Hadley Boyce with Jamie Stovold starting 8th and Lachlan Mead bringing up the rear in 9th. This is going to be, of course, our first real taste of how the racing tonight is going to go. The track's still reasonably fresh, and there's still some discussion over whether or not the track is going to be reset for the feature later on tonight. We'll have to see how much the track evolves in this 10-lap heat.
And again, that's just looking at what's in front of us. What do we need to do? What's going to create the best racing? So that's a discussion that's going to be had with series admins. They'll keep an eye on things. If the track slicks off way too much, we are going to reset that session. 40 laps, remember, we've got heats here as well. And we've got a fair few of them to try and get through. And before we get there, get through to, the alphabet, as well as getting into our feature race for the night, there's a fair bit of racing to get there. A short racetrack, more laps than we've run in recent history. It's a risk, and this is all about talking about what's best for the competition, what's best for the racing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we're not going to have much time to figure it out. I mean, you think about 10-second lap times or so, blow it out to 11 seconds maybe. 10-lap heats, that is 111 seconds, which is just shy of 2 minutes. That's how long these races are going to take. So it's going to be rapid, it's going to be fast. We are going to be talking like absolute animals here, Scott. And I just hope that our brains can hold it together, because I can already feel mine melting.
Well, I think one of the things that's going to be crucial is getting these cars up to speed, because they're going to be running quite a short ratio as well. So rotation in the rear end could be a big thing. The amount of stagger that they'll have in the rear end is worthwhile discussing as well. Not sure they'll have a heap given the amount of banking. And there was a lot of leaning to the right, sort of some of these cars in qualifying. So, but they're getting set. So we'll be on for a race start here in a few moments.
Yeah, we will. One more formation lap around with the iRacing pace car, actually, this time. Usually it's a pace truck for dirt events, but it looks like the iRacing sedan is out there at the front of this field. I only just noticed that. Definitely looks out of place here on a dirt oval. Well, that may very well be sorted out for next round, but now do you think they're testing the new dirt time models on that iRacing pace car? Is a testing session for them? Never know. Could be. It's high, though, for our front row as Colin Bogus and Clayton Davies lead us away, and Davies gets the start going. We are racing at Huset Speedway, and already we've got some interesting racing side by side for second place. Ayrton Smith overtaking Bogus for second spot, but Colin's going to try and get him back there around the outside. The dichotomy forms here, low versus high. Which do you go for? It actually seems very well matched here.
I was just about to say the lanes look pretty even as Oldfield's going to try and stick to the bottom sides. Ayrton Smith is going to rotate his way up at the top groove at the moment. Already 3 or 4 laps there are about to be in the books. As here comes Matthew Stables, who's going to try and get himself involved. Schultz in the 78 machine starting to track Stables back down, but Stables getting chopped off in that outside lane. The 46 machine will try and rotate it back to the bottom. Here comes his slide job. Did he tag the inside curve? I think he did a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Matthew Stables trying to get into the top 4. Remember, that is your golden ticket straight through to the feature. You won't have to work your way through any of the other races tonight if you finish in the top 4 of your heat. But Smith is working the high line very well right now. It seems he's getting exactly the momentum he needs, but Stables seems to be getting closer and closer to him. And now the 78 of John Schultz has joined the party. We'll have to wait and see if he'll be able to get it done from here, but he loses a bit of speed there in the 4th turn. I don't know. I think he'd be a fool to try and go 3 wide at this stage.
Well, I mean, he had the momentum. He was definitely quicker than the 2 that were ahead of him. Coming into the final couple laps of the heats now. 2 to run. And that 4th transfer spot. Ayrton Smith has got a hand on it at the moment. Stables has not moved off the bottom, but at the moment, Smith is finding speed and consistency. White flag in the air. Final lap of the heat. Davies has got it by 6/10. Oldfield is a 10th back from Colin Borkus. They're going to come their way to the stripe. Oh, they were banging doors down the front straight away. That is 2 360 sprints right on top of each other, and there was nothing to separate them.
Yeah, Bradley Oldfield was trying to get the run out of turn 4, and he did, but not quite enough to get past Bogus before the line. Well, those are your results then. It's Davies, Bogus, and Oldfield, your podium. Only 0.03 of a second separating second and third. Smith is going to get the transfer spot through to the feature. Stables missing out by 0.5 second, maybe more. Boyce, Mead, Schultz, and Stovold round out your finishes, and it looks like John Schultz unfortunately had some issues later on in that heat when we cut away from him. Well, it's all much of a muchness in the end. We have to move on to Heat 2. Tim Ryan going to be starting pole position for this one with championship leader Ethan Winter alongside him. In 3rd place, it'll be Matthew Gowans with Darcy Walker alongside, and the 3rd row will be Hayden Vickers and Nick Mithen. Moving back, it's to Gary Redcliffe and Travis Parrott with Nash Granger taking up the rear here. Now, this is what I would usually call a matchup for the ages if it was the final feature of the season, but here we are in Heat 2, Tim Ryan and Ethan Winter starting side by side on the front row. It's going to be a fun heat to say the least.
Yeah, certainly. This one has got a really important tick to it. And I think the thing is, if you looked at those top groups from that last heat, I think there was just a little bit of circumspect racing. For the guys that are in the top 3, they didn't need to mega send it. They just needed to lock their way into the feature. I think that'll be the first case that the guys are looking at here. But, keep an eye on Vickers out of 5th spot, trying to get his way through. And Mithen might have a crack at him as well.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Hayden Vickers because, you know, he's certainly quick. He certainly has potential to be getting into the feature and having a good run of it, but this season has been horrendous for him so far in terms of luck, in terms of results. He always seems to get involved in an incident not of his own making. So Hopefully he'll be able to avoid that here at Huset tonight. Best of luck to the number 15. Meanwhile, the green flag is in the air and doesn't seem to decide which way it wants to wave, but away it goes. And Tim Ryan leads us to the start of heat number 2. With Ethan Winter keeping him honest there. Contact for third. Looks like Matthew Gowans was put back a bit there. Contact with Hayden Vickers, who's immediately into the top 3.
Yeah, Vickers jumped from outside the 4. He's now into a transfer spot in third. Have a look at where the pace has gone.
No!
The leaders have gone into each other. That's going to send them all checking up. And Ethan Winter's gone tumbling through the standings. Championship leader in the barriers. Tumbles down the list. He's not going to qualify from the heat.
Yeah, that's such a shame there. And that is so interesting between Winter and Ryan. It looks like there was a slide job from Winter and he overcooked it into the wall. We'll get a replay of it later, but regardless, we'll get a replay of it now thanks to our friends at Suit Speed. Ethan Winter getting the slide job done, and then there was contact. Winter gets into the wall, and then Ryan completes the job there. I don't know. I feel like race control might not assign a penalty to that. It looked like a racing incident to me.
I think that is, yeah. I'd say the same thing. Tim Ryan still leads the way, 7 laps now in the books. On the heat, Matthew Gowans, Gary Redcliffe's down on the inside wall, so he's going to stay down there and out of the way. Vickers and Walker all are going to transfer at the moment. There is a big gap back to 5th spot and Nick Mithen at the moment, so your top 4 looking comfortable to transfer.
Yeah, at the moment, Vickers versus Walker, they're continuing to run side by side. The last thing they want to do is get in each other's way.
Update! Tim Ryan giving the black flag. He going to sign the penalty. Guess what? Mithen's going to transfer.
Oh, wow. That's going to be very significant, and that means Matthew Gowans is ultimately going to be classed the winner of this heat. Ryan crosses the line, Gowans behind, Walker versus Vickers for the 3rd spot on the road, which will become 2nd. Vickers gets it, and Nick Mithen will transfer straight through into the feature. So, yeah, I guess our initial assessments of that incident, race control did not agree with it. And, you know, I understand Ryan did make contact with Ethan Winter when the move was almost done there, and that could definitely have played a part in the incident. But regardless, controversy in Heat 2. Gowans, Vickers, Walker and Mithen transfer through to the feature. Parrott, Granger, Ryan, Redcliffe and Winter are your classified drivers there. Not so much for Ethan Winter, who 7 laps from the end had to retire. Turns out Tim Ryan didn't lift, apparently, so that's why the penalty was assigned. Regardless, yeah, pretty big decision there from race control. Heat 3, Kobe Noonan versus Nathan Norman on the front row, with Baldwin and Trent Gosley on row 2. Cameron De Bruin and Nick Ryan will be 5th and 6th. In 7th place, it is Daniel Boyd, got Darcy Wilson for company, and it's only going to be an 8-car field there. Liam James, of course, in race control. He will not take to the start, but yeah, while we're waiting for this heat to get underway, just Winter versus Ryan there. I think that's going to have some ramifications towards the latter part of the season here, because remember, points are not just awarded for feature finishes. This is the view from on board, Tim Ryan. Let's listen in. Yeah, there you go. I mean, I get that it happens quickly, but yeah, you would have expected Ryan to at least lift a little bit to avoid getting into Winter.
Yeah, have a look at the damage on that front bumper bar as well. So there was damage to his car as a result. Gee, remember I said a little while ago that this is the street course at ovals, and someone's going to make a mistake? I didn't expect it to be 2 of our front runners.
The reigning champion of the series and a former champion of quite a few different ODSE series coming together like that. Just an unfortunate coming together, really. But, well, we can leave that behind for the time being and keep our eyes on the field for Heat 3. These 8 drivers look pretty well matched. Looking forward to seeing if Trent Gosley will be able to get a transfer in. He's another driver whose luck doesn't really fall his way from time to time. As, oh wow, okay, technical issues for our pole sitter there. Kobe Noonan getting away though and coming back into the server as Baldwin immediately tries challenging him for the lead. Nathan Norman running the high line there in third place, and he's running ever closer to the wall as time goes on. Contact in the midfield. De Bruin, Nick Ryan and Darcy Wilson all finding the wall.
Yeah, tumbling down the field for Ryan, but still rolling at this point in time, as is Cameron De Bruin. Daniel Boyd sits in fourth. He'll be looking to try and make some advantage. Darcy Wilson was in a pit lane and is going to recover at the moment. Gosley sits in the transfer spot as well. Baldwin still trying to wrap that bottom. The big thing I saw out of the 26 machine of Kobe Noonan was he saw Baldwin try and rotate back to the bottom down in 1 and 2, and he tried to cover that line off. Now this is the line I was just talking about. Baldwin up and by the fence is going to try and hold some momentum. Gets clear down the back straightaway. Here comes Noonan, and there's lap traffic to come.
Nick Ryan there in the number 7, going to stay low to allow our leaders by, and unfortunately for Noonan, won't be able to run that inside line for a couple of laps until he at least clears Nick Ryan. Brady Baldwin to the lead with 5 laps to go in the third heat of the night. It's still on for third and fourth as well. Nathan Norman has a reasonable gap over Trent Gosley. Gosley looks safe-ish versus Daniel Boyd, but I can see that Daniel is potentially moving ever closer here. 11.6 on the last lap versus a 12.1 from Gosley. He's off pace a little.
I was just about to say something's wrong for Trent Gosley. I think he can't turn that car. So Daniel Boyd's got time. Time is running out though. There will be 2 more laps for Boyd to try and run him down. The pace is going to be much, much better. He's going to be running over a second lap faster. There's traffic now for Gosley as he's going to try and make his way off of 4. Lots of steering angle. Final lap of the heat. It's going to be Brady Baldwin for the Synergy Sim Racing crew who gets it done. Noonan's home in P2. Car in the fence down in 4. And that would be the lap traffic.
Yeah, some contact there between Nick Ryan and I think maybe Daniel Boyd. Not too sure exactly who it was, but regardless, Trent Gosley was able to get across the line in 4th, and he will transfer into the feature along with Baldwin, Noonan and Norman, with Boyd finishing in P5, De Bruin, Wilson and Nick Ryan a lap down. Some chaos there in Heat 3, but probably the least controversial of the racing that we've seen tonight. Heat 4 is as follows: Ferguson versus Berkeley on the front row. Quite a matchup there. And Zach Rattray White, a driver who's certainly given some publicity in the last couple of weeks, starting alongside Daniel Grimshaw. Kevin Norman is going to start alongside Nathan Vanderwacker, who, remember, did not have a good qualifying session. And Thomas Mitchell and Brock Thompson will bring up the rear here. Brock Thompson, I think, another driver who we are expecting a little bit more out of. So this is the question: Berkeley versus Ferguson on the front row, and then Vanderwacker and Thompson potentially looking to find their way up through the field. In the midst of it all, you got Zach Rattray White, Dan Grimshaw and Kevin Norman looking to make their mark.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those ones that's going to challenge all involved. So I think this is, look, the biggest thing that we've already seen is that, you know, anything can happen here tonight. Anything has already happened, and well, I think it's going to continue to happen as well. For the meantime, what can Grimshaw do? What can Kevin Norman? And don't forget, Vanderwacker deep in this heat. Currently needs to find himself 2 spots to get himself into a transfer. Well, anything can happen.
Indeed, anything can and does happen in the Australian Sprint Car Championships. As we wait for the call to the green flag, we are away. Cole Ferguson leading us, but Joel Berkeley sticking with him very nicely. Executed that start perfectly and is going to try and sweep round the outside. Look at the momentum from the number 9 of Berkeley. He's going to try and dip down low as it's 3 wide briefly. Zach Rattray White trying to go for the lead as well.
And Vanderwacker's already made some aggression. He's already moved his way up to P4. He's going to try and see if he can get even higher. A higher transferring spot, better place on the grid. That'll be a big goal for him. Have a look at the elbows that are getting thrown up at the front. Berkeley and Ferguson go toe-to-toe down the back straight away at Huset Speedway. In turn 4 from the bottom. Ferguson controls the speed. And Rattray White just got the barriers in behind as well. So it's on for first and second, third and fourth as well.
Yeah, Nathan Vanderwacker having a great start. He's made his way up to 4th and is challenging for 3rd as Berkeley and Ferguson continue to push each other to the limit here. Cole seems pretty comfortable down low, but he is getting on the brakes early, and Berkeley is almost getting into him. This is the chance that Berkeley needs now. Bit of contact, banging wheels as Berkeley briefly takes the lead. It's going to be side by side, and it looks like Berkeley's just going to hold on to it here. Ferguson tapping the brakes to rotate the car, going to get back down to the inside. This lead battle is scintillating.
It is indeed, and it's an even match for the battle for P3. Vanderwacker just barely tapped Rattray White, so it's on for the lead. Ferguson now loses the spot. It's going to be Berkeley to get back up there, but he just tapped the barriers as he went through 1 and 2. Now he's starting to find the rhythm. Now he's starting to find some speed. Have a look at the dust that comes off the speedway. This track is drying out. It's drying out in a hurry, and we're running out of racing laps in a hurry.
Yeah, we're only going to have 1 lap to go for Joel Berkeley here. The white flag flies as he comes across the line, and it looks like he's saved the victory from Cole Ferguson. Rattray White and Vanderwacker holding on to the top 4 there. Thompson making his way up to 5th, but it's not going to be enough. Berkeley wins. Ferguson and Vanderwacker are your podium, and Zach Rattray White is going to join them in the final transfer spot. Thomas Mitchell, Dan Grimshaw and Kevin Norman, not necessarily in that order. The rest of your cars there. Field only covered by 6 seconds at the end. Good to see that they all came across the line and on the lead lap to boot. That's Heat 4 in the books. Let's transfer through to Heat 5 then. Blake Walsh going to start on the pole here with Craig Dunn alongside. Oscar Ames is going to be alongside Paul Bryan on row 2. Brenton Hobson and Bailey Leeson starting 5th and 6th. Then we find our way through to Paul Ward and Aston Hurley for Man Up and Allure respectively. Now, Blake Walsh coming off an excellent weekend last week at I have completely blanked on the name of the track last week, but Blake Walsh certainly was a force to be reckoned with there. He'll be hoping to continue that success. It was Lincoln Speedway last week where Walsh took a surprise victory, but very well executed indeed.
Yeah, and the big thing was timing his run and getting to the front at the right time, right when the track sort of narrowed out and it became single groove. So again, it's timing your run. Have a look at the racetrack at the moment. Have a look at that high line in particular. Slick track. That hard pack that's building up there has had some loam tossed back over the top of it, so a touch of grip at least for now. But it is being bound up together. Different coloration on that dirt too when we move to Huset's here compared to the last few tracks we've been at. We've been looking at a lot of very red clay up until now. Now you're starting to get a lot more of the silt that's coming through, a lot finer grain. Clay will hold on to a moisture a fair bit better. Remember we said the dust was starting to kick up in the racing surface? I think that might be part of the case here tonight, Reese. You have a finer grain sand, it dries out a heck of a lot quicker.
Yeah, certainly does. More porous, definitely easier to let go of that moisture. You're seeing the dust clouds being kicked up just on the pace laps as well. It's quite remarkable. But now we'll find how much the track has evolved once this heat concludes. Blake Walsh conducting the start here with Craig Dunn alongside. In the number 57, we are away. And the green flag flies. Immediately challenging for second place is Oscar Ames in the bright purple, pink, blue, I don't know what to call it, machine. Brilliant challenge. Paul Bryan trying to get amongst it here in the battle for the podium as well. Looks like the top 4 starting to break away. Yeah, a little bit of contact there, and Ames is through on Craig Dunn. Though Bailey Leeson and Paul Ward having to get going at the back of the field there, and Ward looks like has already got some damage there. It's on for second though. Craig Dunn trying to fight back against Oscar Ames, but Paul Bryan wants to get amongst it.
Yeah, that he does. He's into the 4th spot at the moment, but he definitely looks like he's a touch quicker than Dunn. Dunn's got some work to do if he's going to try and hang on to this spot. Down to 3 and 4, and you can see the ride on board, Brenton Hobson. Well, he's got the rock guard on tonight, and with the amount of rocks that's being thrown off the back end of these cars out of him, you can see why it bashes the barrier down the back straight away. Down to 3 and 4, and drives it down the front. You can see why they said all of the banking when they get here to Huset Speedway.
Yeah, for sure. running very close to the wall, but then Hobbo's switching down low a bit. He's trying to test out the middle of the track, see if it has any further grip for him. Switches back up to the high line in turn 1 and 2 there. And still high in 3 and 4 too. It looks like he's decided on that. Blake Walsh looks pretty safe in the lead for the time being. Oscar Ames keeping him honest though, only 0.8 of a second back. Dunn, Bryan and Hobson. This is where it's at in the battle for the transfer, and Hobbo's getting closer.
Ooh, Hobbo just clouts the barrier down the front straight away as he was trying to flick the car to start the rotation into 1 and 2. Now he's going to have to try and find it. They'll get back to the white flag. Bryan's got a hand on it at the moment. Leading the way, Blake Walsh managed to win last time out at Lincoln. Now he's going to win home the heat. As he gets back to the flag, run around the outside, and I tell you what, it was tight for the transfer. Bryan will get it, and the margin at the line, well, it was 25 thousandths of a second.
Well, that's all that was in it there. Hobson's going to miss out on getting to the feature there, with Walsh, Ames, Dunn and Bryan being your top 4. Aston Hurley and Bailey Leeson get home on the lead lap. Paul Ward, unfortunately, a lap down, dealing with some damage on the way through there. And that is going to bring the heats to an end. Now it's time for the C Main, presented by Apex Civil Solutions Queensland. Darcy Wilson and Thomas Mitchell will be your front row. Bailey Leeson and John Schultz, 3rd and 4th. Gary Redcliffe and Nick Ryan round out your top 6. Then in 7th, it's Kevin Norman. He's got Paul Ward alongside him there, with Jamie Stobold and Ethan Winter rounding out our 10 cars here. The championship leader in the C Main. This is going to be a really significant part of the night here for Ethan. Remember, if you transfer into the top 4 here, as we take another look at what happened to Brenton Hobson here, as we're going to see him clout the wall ever so briefly. Yeah, oh God, that could almost have been a disaster there. No wonder he backed off a bit there. But to my point, Scott, Ethan Winter has to finish in the top 4 in this race to stay in the night. And even then, next race is the B main. You only have to get into the top 4 from that to transfer through to the feature. So the pressure's on here for the car number 1.
Yeah, and there was an update to Paul Ward, who picked up a black flag out of the previous heat as well. I was concerned for a moment because I went, hang on, Paul was in P4, but it was Paul Bryan. So he's Paul Ward's going to go to the rear of our C mains. But yeah, I think you're right. This is critical, and for 15 laps, it's not a lot of time to work your way back through to the front.
Yeah, it's the most number of laps in a C main so far this season, but with the track only being 10, 11 seconds long, that's only going to result in a race that's just under 3 minutes in length. So that's not much time. It could be all the difference here for Ethan Winter, whether or not he gets to continue in tonight's racing or not. It is down between Darcy Wilson and Thomas Mitchell for the start, though. And Wilson leads us away as the green flag flies side by side for second already. Bailey Leeson getting up to second, and everyone wants that 4th spot.
Oh,
Goodness me! Oh, he
done.
is! Oh no! Ethan Winter tumbling over at the back of the field. He's going to exit back to the pits, and that is night over for the championship leader.
So who thought when we went to Huset for the first time in ODSE history it was going to be drama and it was going to be a change for the championship lead? That we can tell you before we're even done with the C main, because Winter is already towed. Have a look at the hole. You'll see this replay. He finds a hole. It's in the outside lane. The 7 machine to his inside comes up the track untouched. 3 wide on lap 1. You have to be aggressive if you want to transfer, but that was cojones that were a touch too big, and for Ethan Winter, day done.
Yeah, Nick Ryan was the one who made the contact there, and understandable. You got cars all around you on the first lap, and once you put the power down and the rear kicks out, sometimes it's only a mere suggestion of where the car's going to go. And it's just unfortunate for Ethan Winter in the end. John Schultz holding on to 4th spot, but Nick Ryan and Gary Redcliffe will be chasing him down here. Gary trying to transfer into the feature himself. Nick Ryan trying to resurrect something from this night. Let's see what the man-up car can do here. So much angle on the front tyres as he's trying to make the middle work, but there's just no grip down there.
Yeah, and he's sliding. The car's rotating really, really nicely, but it's rotating too much. And that's where you kind of can't drive it with the right foot. You've got to drive it with the steering wheel instead. And that's the difficulty that Redcliffe's having at the moment. In the meantime, transfer spots. Darcy Wilson from Thomas Mitchell, Bailey Leeson, and John Schultz. It's a battle on for P2 at this point in time. But I can tell you, Schultz is right there. There was nearly contact between Leeson and Mitchell. Now, as they're going to come around at turn 4 to complete lap number 10, there will be 5 more laps left to run in the C main. And we are running out of time.
Yeah, have a look at the lap times, though.
Oh.
What happened?
There was just that angle from Bailey Leeson. I thought he was going on the fence.
Yeah, that leads into my point. The lap times are absolutely rising here. Thomas Mitchell, the only driver to run a lap in the 11-second bracket on this lap, and it was 11.9. The lap times are looking at 12 seconds now. There is no grip on the racetrack, and the drivers are struggling to keep it together.
Yeah, this will be one that you expect the server will get reset for sure after seeing how it's played out thus far. Wilson's got control. 3 laps left to run. He's starting to run away. 11.830 last time by. He'll try and create a little bit more margin. The biggest battle is going to be between Thomas Mitchell and Bailey Leeson. I can tell you Nick Ryan is starting to run down John Schultz. The gold and white flags in the air. This is the final lap of the heat. Now he's going to send it to the inside. Leeson's going to try and grab that spot away from Mitchell. Mitchell got it from the top rope, but there was nothing in it at the line. And I tell you what, Reese, we've been through a couple of races so far. How many of them nearly had overtakes at the line?
Yeah, that really gives me a level of excitement for the feature. It's going to be amazing seeing the runs that people try to get at the end. But of course, we have to move on to one more race before that. It is the B main, presented, of course, by SimRap Market. As we go through our results here, Wilson, Mitchell, Leeson, and Schultz will transfer through to the feature. Ryan, Stovold, Norman, Redcliffe, Ward, and Winter are going home. The rest of the drivers yet to form the final 4 spots for the feature here in the B main, presented by SimRap Market. Let's hear from them. SimRap Market, thanks so much for sponsoring the B main, of which Matthew Stables starts on pole alongside Travis Parrott, Daniel Boyd, and Brock Thompson on your second row, with Brenton Hobson starting 5th alongside Hadley Boyce. Nash Granger starting 7th with Cameron De Bruin alongside the 5th row being Dan Grimshaw and Aston Hurley. It's Lachlan Mead and Tim Ryan 11th and 12th on the grid, and then it's the final 4 spots, the top 4 from the C main: Wilson, Mitchell, Leeson, and Schultz. 16 cars taking to the start here. And I mean, there's been more controversy considering the penalty that Tim Ryan was assigned for his contact with Ethan Winter. Well, I guess the difference being here, Winter is now out of the night completely. And Tim Ryan, well, he's got a lot of challenge ahead of him here if he wants to finish in the top 4.
Well, I think you got to see Tim Ryan's in place now where he's got to checkers or wreckers is basically what he's looking at. Issues for someone on the grid. No, I think
it was Ryan.
It's Tim Ryan, so that's him just serving his penalty. He's sitting there waiting for the field to go on by, so we can form up. But the issue is, so the penalty that we've got available to us here in ODSE is rear grid for the next race that you're a part of, and unfortunately, it's the B main. So yeah, it's tough. I understand how Tim feels. I understand it was a tight racing incident, but that's the only penalties the admins. You've got to do something about it because it's definitely at fault on a driver. It's a tight call. But yeah, for Tim, rough night.
Yeah. We were saying when we were off live that if you don't penalise that kind of incident in some way, then it sets a precedent, and you don't want to see races being decided like that. Regardless, it is time for the start here. Matthew Stables leading us away for the start of the Simrat Market B main, and that is a great start indeed, with Daniel Boyd holding on to second place, but he's getting pressured by Travis Parrott and Brenton Hobson, to say nothing of Brock Thompson in the number 61, who is making that high line work, dipping low, but Hobson doesn't have a good run off the corner. Oh, that is very high for the number 33. He's going to lose a few spots, and the 727 collects him on the way through. Tim Ryan making contact further back, and we have a car that has almost lost its wing there. It was Darcy Wilson that Tim Ryan, unfortunately, had a little bit of a biff with.
And I'm pretty sure Tim Ryan's front right tyre is not facing the same direction he started the race with. So now he's going to try and rescue a night with a damaged race car. And that's a tough prospect for him as the 52 machine. And Leeson's going to try and run him down in the background. Hobson finds himself in a transfer car up and over. Wilson's gone again.
Oh, and this time the wing is completely gone, tumbling over. He's trying to keep it going, but it just won't happen. Darcy Wilson is out of the B main. That is massive. Travis Parrott also out as well in car number 33. And oh, that was the initial contact there. It actually looked like Wilson came down on Tim Ryan.
Yeah, I did. I saw that one live when it happened, and yeah, that was my feeling and the way that I felt about this one. How tight is the battle pack, though, at the moment? Everyone's getting checked up, and everyone's starting to run out of tempers and time, because for Brenton Hobson, he's found his way to P3, but now he's the cork in the bottle. Thompson's going to try and get for his outside. Can't get there. Boy's back on the inside, trying to find whatever he can off the bottom steps. Nash Granger's going to bring himself up and into contention in this one as well. And if Thompson can find some drive, he'll get to P3 and he'll probably disappear to the sunset. But the big question is if he can find some drive.
Yeah, it's a massive train here, and the track surface is so low grip at the moment. This is another view here of Darcy Wilson. This is what ultimately took him out of the race. He just walled it, fed the right rear, and it wasn't going to happen. Well, oh no, that is 13 of Cameron De Bruin that is also out of this one too. Looks like another solo mistake running up into the wall. Thank goodness the track is getting reset for the feature. Oh man, what a race this has turned into. Everyone battling the track as much as each other right now. Hobson still holding off Thompson and Boyce. Nash Granger waiting in the wings to try and get amongst this as Thompson gets to the inside of Hobbo. And will he find the drive down low? He will not. Hobson leading at the line there in this battle for third. And it looks like the high line's starting to come back. Hobbo looks comfy up there, at least in the short term.
Yeah, and he's just got a race car that's turning really, really nicely. There's nothing much in it. Now you're going to see the car go up and over the barriers. That was how De Bruin found his way out. Hobson and Thompson are still going toe-to-toe. Thompson's going to get the nose ahead. Not quite enough room to send a slide job, but he's found the line. He's found the rhythm all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. She's tough to turn. 15 laps. We are on our way through. We are on the run to home. And can Brock Thompson finally nick this spot from Hobson? He will at the line. Will he get clear? Job's done. Now he's just going to get the car off. Hobson's going to tag the wall on the high line.
Yeah, the problem for Hobbo now is he's in the final transfer spot. He needs to keep it together from here. He needs to absorb the pressure from Hadley Boyce, otherwise he'll have to go home too. But he's continuing to feed the right rear to the wall up high. This is really edge of your seat stuff for Brenton Hobson. Can he hold on to his spot here and get Synergy Sim Racing with a couple more cars into the feature? Big slide up top there for Hobbo, and Hadley Boyce continues to pile on the pressure. 2 laps to go at the line for our leader, Matthew Stables, who is absolutely ringing it out there. He is running super quick. Nice job so far. Daniel Boyd is safe in second. 1 lap to go for our race leader. Matthew Stables will just about get across the line with a little more breathing room to spare. And it looks like Hobson has been able to settle into a rhythm here and hold on to 4th place. So that is going to be your race finish there. Matthew Stables, Daniel Boyd and Brock Thompson, your podium from the B main. Hobson scraping into the feature.
Huset Speedway, boy oh boy. This place is putting it together. for the Oceanic Dirt Sprint Cars. My word. So that is your conclusion of your B main. Stables from Boyd, Brock Thompson, Hobson, Hadley, Boyce, Bailey, Leeson, Thomas Mitchell, Tim Ryan does not transfer home an 8-spot damage to the 98. John Schultz and Nash Granger are going to be your top 10 outside of there. Aston Hurley from Daniel Grimshaw. Lachlan Mead will finish off the lead lap. Cameron De Bruin 11 down. Darcy Wilson 17 and Travis Parrott 18 laps down. The retirements, that was the B main. We've got ourselves a feature to come, and I do want to take the opportunity, if we can, to chat to Brady Baldwin about if we are going to get a track reset heading into the feature, because that looks slick, Brady.
Yes, we have reset the track, so we'll run a few laps on it after this redraw, have some life back in it for the A main. So yeah, hopefully it lasts. Even if it gets like that by lap 40, I think it'll be pretty decent, hopefully.
Well, there you go.
So at the moment, we're just building up to do our redraw, but I don't think that's a bad decision whatsoever. I think that's what we were leaning towards, Reese, wasn't it? The track definitely it slicked its way out a long way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's nice seeing that fresh track out there now. We do have our good friend the Spinny Wheel making an appearance. First driver up on the roster is Colin Bocus, and this is going to be deciding positions 6 to 10 for the feature. Colin, fresh track for the feature start. Would you prefer an inside or outside line?
Don't really matter. We'll take 9th. See what we can do. It's a long race. Track's gonna slick off pretty quick, so if we can make some ground quick, we will, and we'll see what we can do from there.
Well, Colin Bocus getting 9th spot in the redraw. Next up, Hayden Vickers. First time we've actually had a chance to chat to him this season. Night's going pretty good for you so far, Hayden.
Yeah, thanks. Night's pretty good at the moment. Better than last year, so yeah.
Well, it's going to be an 8th place start for you, so congratulations on that and best of luck in the race.
Thanks.
Kobe Noonan next up here, 6th, 7th or 10th for the number 26 as we keep our eyes peeled to where the spinny wheel's going to run. It looks like a 7th place start for you, Kobe.
That's all right. I'm just happy to be in the dash. It's been a bit of a tough start to the season, but yeah, we'll give it a crack.
Absolutely, we will. Now we welcome Cole Ferguson to the booth. It's going to be 6th or 10th for you, Cole. Higher start would obviously be nice, but considering what other drivers have said, it's probably not going to matter too much where you start. It is going to be 10th.
10th? No, we'll take that. We'll roll into this feature and see what we can pull out of it, and hopefully the track work's been done. It's going to make it a good feature.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a matter of survival. Oscar Ames is going to be confirmed as your 6th place starter there. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Don't have to do anything. It's good. I'll take the 6.
Awesome stuff. Well, 6th place start for Oscar Ames, and Clayton Davies is going to be the next to join us here first to decide positions 1 through 5. Obviously, you'd be hoping for a pole, Clayton, but it's going to be all about survival tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of hoping that I can at least get one in the first 2 rows, but chances are I'm probably going to get the 5th pill. I can just feel it.
You got pole.
Oh, you kidding? Nah. Oh, oh god, here we go. I'm going backwards again. This is it's karma. I swear. Like every time I do well, it's like, you know, we're going to give you pole so you can go backwards. But no, we'll make the most of it. Hopefully this time I don't put the reverse blinkers on.
Indeed. Well, Clayton Davies is going to go prepare for pole position. Next up is Matthew Gowans. So pole position has already been taken, Matthew. Inside or outside for you?
Oh, inside would be nice.
Looks like that's going to be an outside start for you. 4th place.
Okay. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Sorry, suffering a little bit of a coughing fit there out of nowhere. So that's going to be 4th place there for Matthew Gowans. Next up on the roster,
Me.
going to be Brady. All right, Brady. So 2nd, 3rd, 5th.
Yeah, put me 10th, like Jay said. I'm happy to be in the feature after last week. Was pretty good there in the heat race. So yeah, we'll take 2nd beside my teammate. Bit of an unknown. We've never raced here before. Not many people have raced here at all. So don't really know what to expect, but as long as it's a good race, I don't mind.
Yeah, indeed. We've got quite a few championship contenders out of the running here for this one. A driver who has won quite a few times in ODSE events in the past, now with us, Joel Berkeley, 5th versus 3rd. Either way, it is going to be an inside row start for you, Joel, and it's going to land in the green. You're going to be 3rd.
Glad you said of the past, because it's not a present thing, but third's better than nowhere. Yeah, don't know what to do. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we can always count you to put on some spectacular drives, Joel. Best of luck. And with all of that, it's going to be a 5th place start for you, Blake Walsh. Certainly backing up last week pretty well.
Yeah, I'll take it. Best start we've had all year, so bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's going to conclude the run through the spinny wheel. Thanks so much to all the drivers for joining us. And now I believe we can get an opportunity to bring our replay in that Jay was talking about just before. Apparently, Nash Granger had an issue of some description. A couple of things to work out in the background before we can see that. But, well, Scott, looks like we have a top 10 order, but yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one.
Yep, it's been shaken up quite a lot. Keep your eyes on the 25 machine. Running down at the back. Look at how high he is. So he's taking a lot of risk. And that's just how slicked off the car was.
Oh. Who was that?
26?
Yeah. So we have only one number 26, and that's Kobe Noonan. So a little bit of an unfortunate run there for Nash Granger. Lachlan Mead, sorry. It was Lachlan Mead who made that contact. So shame there for Mr. Granger, one of many drivers who could have been on their way to a pretty good result here tonight, but just taken out thanks to the chaos that Huset Speedway brings.
So this is on board from Lachlan Mead.
Already very low on the way in.
Yeah, the line was wrong, the setup for it was wrong. Which is difficult. Lachlan Mead, actually, I've been commentating a fair bit and running some NASCAR stuff of late. He's actually really, NASCAR program we're putting together a Million Sim Sports actually quite strong at the moment. So it's interesting to see how he'd do on the dirt. But yeah, it's just not going well for him, unfortunately, tonight.
Well, warm-up is on. Just a couple of laps allowed here for the drivers to work the track in a little bit. Have a look at how many of them are out there. Track's going to be running quite nicely here. Before we advance to the next session, it looks like that's going to be now. We will get into our feature grid. Now, of course, the top 10, as you're about to see them, are not going to be the order that they start in. Clayton Davies and Brady Baldwin are going to be your front row. And it's going to be quite a interesting start for all of the drivers in our top 10. So Davies, he's got pole, but everyone else is going to have to move around a little bit. We can go back to 11th place, Scott, to start our run through the field. And actually, oh yeah, okay, everything's good there. Bradley Oldfield leading up the rest of the field here.
Yep, and then we'll feed back in from 11th through 12th, which will be Oldfield from Darcy Walker. Outside he had 10, Nathan Norman, Nathan Vanderwacker, which he was lucky to transfer in, so he drove quite well to get his way in. Craig Dunn from Ayrton Smith, Nick Mithen and Trent Gosley on the 9th row of the grid. Ratcho White, Paul Bryan are going to round out your 20. Then here is our guys that ran the gauntlet from the Alphabet Soup. Stables from Daniel Boyd, Brock Thompson and Brenton Hobson, the final transfer.
24 cars pulling away here off the grid for the A main presented by Wide Open Clothing. The final race of the Neuropower Rewards South Dakota showdown here at Huset Speedway. Of course, Neuropower, organization run by ODSE driver Tristan Yelland. Tristo, of course, was diagnosed with motor neuron disease some years ago, and since then he's dedicated a lot of his time to advocating for people with MND and helping to enhance the lives of individuals with neurological conditions. The Neuropower provides essential support and resources, financial assistance and accommodation to alleviate isolation and financial burdens for people with neurological conditions. Thank you very much for everything you do, Tristo. Great service to the community and an excellent supporter of Oceanic Dirt Sim events. Well, the field moving into line here. It looks like Clayton Davies has decided he wants an outside start for this one.
Yeah, I don't hate that because he's going to try and get the power to the ground and get the power to the ground. He does do so. We're on the run to turn number 1. What can Gowans do? Gowans was launching up towards the front end of things, but has already lost a couple spots. Now they're going to feed in. Look at how tight it is right throughout the pack. They ran that middle groove just to try and put some wear on it. Now they're back to a fresh track. They've got some tack, but 40 laps of Huset. It's going to rip this place up.
Yeah, Brady Baldwin, given his wobbler nickname, certainly something to work with as he walled it immediately in turn 1. As down the inside, Blake Walsh is going to get the both of them. What a fantastic drive, but Walsh is blinking. Oh, this isn't ideal here. Just reappears right in front of Berkeley. Matthew Gowans now taking the second spot. It is a race for second as Clayton Davies streaks away.
There was a bit of contact between Walsh and Berkeley as well as they change hands for that spot. Car in the fence. Car done. And it's the 79 machine of Daniel Boyd who goes sinking through the field.
Now, not ideal for the number 79. Boyd, of course, starting on the second last row, working his way up from the B main. It looks like it was actually contact with Brock Thompson. Thompson trying the slider here to get underneath, but then it was 3 wide, and there was a bump from Hobson, and then Boyd was sent into Thompson there.
There was 4 cars taking faster peppers at this caution. Hobson, Thompson, Boyd, and Zach Rattray White was the 4th one. Actually, there might be a few more that are diving onto the lane right now.
Yeah, of course, it's the rule, of course, in the first 10 laps of a feature. If there's a caution, you're able to tour into the pits to get a fast repair and be able to keep your night going. But after 10 laps are completed, it is day done if you have a big crash. Don't know if they've changed it from 10 laps because of the increased amount of laps in this particular feature, but regardless, will come a point where you're not allowed to take your fast repairs anymore. Restarts remaining double file for now. It's Clayton Davies who's going to lead it, and he's decided once again to go for the outside start here. Worked for him on the initial start. Let's see how it goes on the restart.
Yeah, here we go. They're all going to form up, get themselves set. I believe it was Oscar Amez. Maybe had an issue a little bit earlier on. Either way, pace car is now in. The 50 machine. Davies has control of the field. There he goes. He launches, gets a huge jump once again. And Matthew Gowans is again the guy that's going to immediately come under assault to the top step. Here's Joel Berkeley, who's going to try and find some speed on the wall. Blake Walsh is going to try and get to the inside of these guys and stick with them. And Oscar Amez is going to try and find some speed. He's in the outside lane as well.
Yeah, Berkeley versus Walsh for 3rd place, and that's a lot of angle there for Walsh. Berkeley walls it. He's trying to protect the positions from the cars behind. That induces a concertina at Ames, walls it as well. Oscar's going to fall outside the top 12. Massive crash. Darcy Walker. And that was Daniel Boyd, I think, as well. I'm honestly not sure what happened. Hayden Vickers there. Yeah, oh dear. Well, fortunately, it's still within the first 10 laps, so Vickers will be able to get his fast repair there.
Yeah. Oh my word, we're going to need a replay on that. The problem is that one accident happened, then another one piled into it and started happening, then a third one happened as a result of the first 2. So it's not as if, you know, you can sit down and say one of them's totally at fault. And it started with somebody getting the fence. It was right up at the front. There's the first car that grabs the fence. That's Berkeley that gets it, the 9 machine. Then it's Oscar Ames who gets up and rides the fence. And watch the check up right here, Reese. Then they get into each other back here.
Yeah, so I think the final incident was caused largely by Joel Berkeley checking up. Hayden Vickers tried to make it 3 wide there with Cole Ferguson and Darcy Walker, and unfortunately, you know, these cars don't have mirrors, so Vickers had no idea that Walker was on his outside. They came together. Vickers tumbled over, and Darcy Walker is now out of the event. There is the contact there. See Vickers just moving up. Half of it, I think, is he just got sucked up.
Yeah, boy. And it was just open season on trying to grab a fresh bit of track space. Remember, tight, very narrow racetrack, 600 meters in length. There's no place to run. There's no place to hide. 24 cars in the feature becomes 22, and Oldfield is the car that got up and into the barrier. But look at that. That's not Oldfield. What was Darcy Walker looking up and over? Back under green flag conditions. Here we go once more as Davies again tries to get the power down. What's Blake Walsh going to try and do with our front two? And Gowans has somehow managed to get to the outside of Clayton Davies, and Gowans is now going to lead a lap.
Yeah, this is good stuff here from Matthew Gowans. Played that restart perfectly. Clayton Davies now has to respond somehow. We're already starting to see the track wear away. Lots of slick through the corners. Drivers trying desperately to keep it to the extreme edges of the racetrack. Joel Berkeley still holding on to 4th spot, but Oscar Ames has managed to find his way back up there, and he's going to try and go for a position in the top 4, trading spots with Berkeley as Brady Baldwin and Kobe Noonan look on.
Yeah, and now it's going to be where Bradley Oldfield and Cole Ferguson start to buy their way into the back of this battle, and look at how little space there is through the middle. Oldfield trying to shut the nose in 3 wide. Now he's going to try and send it back down and rotate underneath Noonan. He had to check up because there was space and the door got shut. The 81 machine of Ferguson's in there. They are just about rubbing pedals, rubbing tyres, rubbing everything. And oh boy, it is rush hour at the Huset Speedway.
Colin Bokus holding the inside line there, and he's been working it nicely, not able to find a way through on 2 of the 3 drivers he's fighting with there. But Cole Ferguson in the 81 trying his best to get things done there. No further fast repairs available. It is past 15 laps in this extended feature. Matthew Gowans and Blake Walsh now fighting for the lead of the race. Walsh having a great run here in the middle. Clayton Davies looks like he might be in trouble.
Yeah, Clayton's all of a sudden starting to fall back. Big slider sent by Walsh. We'll get the race lead. Now it's on Gowans to see if he can find some power down low. The low is starting to come back into the middle of the racetrack, but it is hard pack. It is slick most of the way around right here, right now, and Gowans still can't find the speed. So Blake Walsh, at the moment, one last time out from Lincoln, now leads the way from Huset.
Oh wow, this is going to be amazing here. Look at this shot. Seeing Joel Berkeley work that inside line, but there's only a tiny strip of fresh clay there on the inside. There's not much that Berkeley will be able to do. He walls it, almost crashes out. Oscar Ames now is going to bring Kobe Noonan and Brady Baldwin with him to reignite the battle for the podium. Berkeley seems to be struggling a bit there up top, but Ames is keeping it nice and smooth. Oh, there's been a coming together. It looks like Trent Gosley and Cole Ferguson have come together.
Yeah, down the back straight away, so we're going to have to check and find what's going on for those guys and confirmation from race control. Fast repairs are done for the day as well. Just past the halfway marker on our feature. Ferguson and Gosley, the 2 drivers coming together. Boy, Reese, this one is flying by, but the trouble that I think we've got here in the comms box is that take all the action for regular week, and then you've got to condense it onto a lap that's a few seconds shorter. It's go time all the time. And Trent Gosley unfortunately loses the rear coming off of turn 1, and Ferguson was right there and on him. Small mistake made by Gosley, and Ferguson nowhere left to go.
Yeah, that's such a shame. 2 very capable drivers taken out of this feature. And, you know, I have so much sympathy for all the drivers that have had issues here. Huset has proven to be a very brutal addition to the ODSE calendar.
Brutal, boy, whiz. I like this. Get this racetrack. Let's go back here again in 3 weeks' time, eh? Let's squeeze this one back on the track as soon as physically possible. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this has certainly been a very entertaining night, and I'm very happy to see that Huset Speedway as part of the schedule for this year. You just get a sense of the scale of the track, or lack thereof, I suppose. The field taking up an entire quarter of this track when they're just pacing. Just goes to show how much of a bull ring this place is as the pace car comes into the pit lane and we get ready for the restart. Blake Walsh choosing to start on the inside, and he gets away to a good start as the green flag flies, and we're away, but already Ames and Noonan and Thompson go tumbling down the field, and the caution is immediately back out. Oscar Ames is out.
And he turned the car down the racetrack, the car slid, and then he overcorrected to get it back up the racetrack, and there was just not much he could have done, and now he's struggling to get the car back to pit lane, so he will be done for the day. The retirement's starting to come in thick and fast now, as we've now lost Ames, but before that we'd lost Darcy Walker. Daniel Boyd is still out there and still running. I think Oldfield was the other car that got caught up in it.
Yeah, man, that is a really tough restart, and Oscar Ames apologizes. Yeah. Oh dear, that's a massive pile up there. Ames, yeah, caught the berm, and that just bucked the car to the right, and there was absolutely nothing that Kobe Noonan could do, to say nothing of Cole Ferguson and everyone else who ended up driving right into that.
And that speed too. I think it was a few of those guys further down, is that these things are certainly smaller than your average race car, but that does not mean that the blind spots are smaller. The blind spots sometimes can get a little bit bigger, particularly when you're at this speed, at this size of a racetrack as well. So Kobe Noonan just jumped on the radio and said, hey, look, the right front is just about toast. I want to keep circulating. So I'm going to go to the end of the line. So he's going to try and pick up some points. And this is the last car on the line for that restart. And look, you'll see just how quickly he gets in there. Nothing you can see. He's hit
Craig Dunn, man.
Before he recognises there was anything to check up for.
Yeah, that just shows you how quickly things can turn around. So Craig Dunn, the driver we were riding on board with, just a horrific way to end his race. But single file restarts from here on out. And Blake Walsh leads us away. Matthew Gowan's holding on to second, but Clayton Davies and Joel Berkeley trying to have a run at it. Davies switching to the inside, and he's using the berm now to hook his car around the corners. Have to wait and see if that works for him. It's really on behind though. Vanderwacker, Zach Rattray White, Brady Baldwin, the 46 as well of Matthew Stables down low. This is a crazy battle here for the last few positions in the top 10.
And the big thing is, those lap times are starting to get really, really long now as the times are falling off. Fastest time of the feature, Gowan's a 10.847, now outside of the 12s. And have a look at the checkup that happened on the restart. Baldwin's going to get some contact on that car as well. And you can just see the cars, the level of grip's gone away from the racetrack. The complexity and the difficulty level's starting to massively ramp up.
Oh, the caution's back out. There's been a problem somewhere. I can see that Trent Gosley has just escaped back to pit lane and disconnected from the server. That's been basically every round this season for Trent. Such a shame, and it looks like he did it all by himself, just too high into the first turn, clobbers the wall, goes tumbling over, and, well, he escaped back to the pit lane, but not quick enough to mean that we stayed green. Oh, man.
Yep, and Short Speedway. There's a issue here for the 7 car of Baldwin. We're going to see a replay of, gets tagged. So that's how that checkup happened.
Yeah, it looked like the 51 of Brad Oldfield finding his way into the left rear quarter of our series administrator.
Yep. That one, I get the feeling probably looked at. I think the biggest thing is that such a hectic rate of speed around this racetrack that people are sending sliders, the car slides, and there's less room to react, not more. Here we go for another restart as we get back towards the top. Blake Walsh on the slicker racetrack, so it'll be next time by we go back to green flag racing, but Walsh with 13 to go leads the way. Much again, Reese, I think it's the same thing. Got to the lead at the right time. The racetrack slicked off its single file out there now.
Yeah, indeed. And I think it's going to be a very similar situation to last week. Blake Walsh has made himself a factor in the title fight very early on in the season. I'm very interested to see if that momentum continues for the number 97 at the front of this field. Single file restart is on, and away we go. Green flag in the air to begin the 29th lap of this 40 green flag lap feature. But you see that Berkeley and Davies are once again going way down to the inside. Davies stays down there, but Berkeley seems more comfortable up high.
Yeah, and Berkeley's managed to grab that spot, so he will jump his way back up. Looking a little bit deeper in the field as we catch the 50 machine. And have a look at Oldfield, who's driven his way from the rear. Now sits it in 5th spot. Clayton Davies, remember, led this thing all the way back at the start of the race, struggling now in the middle of the race as the track starts to slick off. Bocus, Stables, and Paul Bryan are going toe-to-toe. They were 3 wide for half a moment. And this is back up at the point.
Yeah, you know what? Berkeley's gotten the memo now. He's working the inside, much like Davies is. And just as I say that, he switches up high again. Was a run of a couple of laps there, and particularly down in turns 1 and 2, Berkeley seems to be finding some grip down there. Contact there between Matthew Gowans and Clayton Davies. Gowans going to fall back to 7th spot and even further back. Oh, we almost had another caution there. That was Paul Bryan that was unfortunately caught up in all of that, and it looks like his car is a little damaged now. Some problems for him. Walsh still holding on to the front with Berkeley chasing him down.
Yeah, we're now down into that final quarter of the race, and in fact, we're running towards an 8th of the race left to 1. Blake Walsh is going to lead the way by about 2 to 3 tenths of a second. Oldfield has managed to climb his way through the field. Have a look at the speed he carried on the run into turn number 1. He is tracking these guys down. He was at the tail end, was Oldfield. He's going to drive his way right the way through where all the danger was, and he has got a huge turn of speed on board the 51.
He's trying his best to hold on as we check briefly a little bit further back there at the 46 of Matthew Stables fighting with Vanderwacker. Looks like Nathan's going to be giving him a run here for the last position in the top 5. Still got just a couple of laps remaining in this feature, and it is on for our top 3. Can Berkeley grab the win? Can Bradley Oldfield in his 50th ODSE start claim that podium? This is the big question on our minds as the white flag is out. Barney's waving it. It is Walsh, Berkeley, and Oldfield across the line. It is middle of the road up to the top there for Berkeley and Oldfield. Blake Walsh protecting the inside, but Berkeley's going for it. The slider from the number 9. It's going to be a drag race to the line. They are level. It looks like Blake Walsh only just got it.
4 thousandths. 4 thousandths. 5 thousandths on the timing. Walsh is going to do it back to back. Lincoln Speedway, Huset Speedway by nothing. How was the slider from Berkeley? He checked that momentum. He took it to him on that final lap of the race. That was commendable from the pair of them. And Oldfield from 11th on the grid to 3rd at a tough, tricky track where the doors were banged, the tires were beaten, and the bars were bent. Oh boy, Reese, what a night! That was some top draw stuff.
That certainly was. These last couple of weeks of ODSE racing are living in my memory for a long time. Had so much fun calling these races, bringing you this action here on SimSpeed TV. Those are your results. Blake Walsh, 5 thousandths of a second, it doesn't matter. It's practically a hair's breadth between Blake Walsh and Joel Berkeley for the win in the feature. Bradley Oldfield gets on the podium here in round 4 in his 50th ODSE start. Brilliant drive up through the field. Clayton Davies, our pole sitter, back to 4th with Nathan Vanderwacker rounding out the top 5. Colin Bocus getting a 6th spot there with Stables, Gowans, Rattree White, and Nathan Norman rounding out the top 10. Norman making his way up from 13th. The Hard Charger Award by Mono Creative is going to go to Brenton Hobson. Started at the very back, made his way up to 11th.
I got an update on that one. There was actually one driver who made more spots. Matthew Stables 21st to 7th. So yes. He's gained just one more, so he will get the hard charger on that one. So Hobo out of 11th. Anton Smith back to 12th. Brady Boorman was inside the 10 here tonight and cannot convert on that one, unfortunately for him. Ferguson was in a whole host of trouble with the amount of times he had his panels beaten and banged off. Brock Thompson from Paul Bryan Nick Millen, Kobe Noonan does manage to finish on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap out of 18 spots. Some points on the board for him. Daniel Boyd also running at 2 laps down. Trent Gosley wanting retirements 14 laps down. And here we get into the boys that didn't make the flag. Craig Dunn, Oscar Ames, Hayden Vickers, and Darcy Walker cars not to make the finish. Oh boy, Reese. I can't believe we've got a week off next week, or a couple of weeks off, because Dirt's starting to make its way onto my schedule, and Thursday nights are becoming a night I don't want to miss.
Yeah, indeed. Same here. And I think Blake Walsh won't want to miss any more Thursday nights after that brilliant drive to victory. Welcome, Blake. Jay is drawing us that gap on the production feed. That's how little was in it between you and Joel Berkeley. How does that feel?
That's really cool, especially to go back to back, and we wanted me for bigger 4-10 league wins, but to do it like that's pretty cool as well. Joel ran me really clean, and he probably had every chance to wreck me and stuck me in the fence and do whatever he wanted, but no, he ran me clean, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's victories the last 2 rounds running for you. Back at Lincoln 7 days ago, and here at Huset, it seems like this is going to be one of your best seasons to date. Your pace is looking fantastic, and you've been able to play the caution game perfectly, getting into the lead at exactly the right time. That's certainly something you'll be looking to carry through to future rounds.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think this is my first proper crack at an ODSE season. I've sort of been on and off the last few years and sort of gave it a miss last year, so I had to run the qualifying round, and I sucked in that. I don't know how I got an invite, but I think we're making up for it now.
Absolutely. Well, victory is yours and the floor is yours. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Can't thank you guys enough for streaming it. Obviously, Brady for putting it on. He puts a lot of time and effort into it. Joel and Brad on a good race. Nick back at Discord for spotting me and letting me know what the go was. And yeah, just everyone else that makes it happen.
Blake Walsh joining us there from Victory Lane. Second place on the road, but not by much, was Joel Berkeley. Stood by with Scott Rankin.
Joel, man, what a dive on the last lap. We were all sitting here going, no, I don't necessarily think he's going to send it, but that hole got left, and Blake gave you a whole bunch of room, so you had to take the crack at it. You miss it by 5 thousandths of a second, my guy. You had a crack. P2 nearly converted it. So, I mean, does it feel frustrating to finish P2, or you're like, you know what, we had a good crack tonight. That was a great finish.
Yeah, look, hard to say not being frustrated, but I've been all but rubbish in sprint cars at anything ODSC. So to finally have some pace was cool, but to run second so close is pretty disappointing. But it's still cool to have pace, and yeah, cool to run with Blake and everyone and be up front. And I know it's been a while. I made an ODSC show in forever, and we finally put some laps in and actually ran half decent.
In terms of the championship thus far, I mean, finally up there and in and amongst the podium, mate. So, like you said, programs just not going to plan. This will really pump you up. I think this is one of the tougher tracks. We were just talking. The racing's so hectic here with a 10-second quali lap, with a 10-second start of the race lap that then falls away to out of its 12-second lap. You've got 2 seconds worth of time fall off there. You've got to drive the car very, very differently at the back end of the race to the way you drive it at the front end.
Oh yeah, it's crazy the speed you got to race at the start of the race to the end. It's yeah, I don't even know. It's wild, and yeah, I've never raced this track, and for what people reckon it raced pretty average, but I thought it raced pretty good and showed multiple lanes, and with the lane changing, it was pretty cool, and yeah, good to get a result.
In terms of thing, couple of weeks off now, you sit back, you relax a little bit more. How's the confidence levels heading in the back half of the season?
Yeah, look, I'll just take it week by week and see what we can do. It's hectic times in real racing at the moment, with racing happening all the time. So hopefully we can show up to a few more of these, and I don't think we'll be in title contention or anything, but just have a bit of fun and hopefully shake up the field a little bit here and there when we show up and do what we need to do. But yeah, can't thank the boys enough. Brad and Darcy put in a few laps this week to try and get better, and I know we got around pretty good there tonight, so can't complain with that. And yeah, we'll roll on to, I don't even know where the next one is or whenever it is. Yeah, don't even know. We'll see if we can do it. Eldora, yeah, right.
Yep, we're off to the DM Cinematography Eldora Royale on May the 1st for the next time out, mate.
Yeah, I should be here for that one, just as long as everything allows it, but we'll see what happens. Who knows these days? Yeah, take it week by week.
Well, congratulations on P2 here tonight, Joel. Who would you like to give a thank you to?
Yeah, well, just massive thanks to the boys at ULEague Simsport and Brad and Darcy, and yeah, to run 2 and 3 for the teams championship. Brad's been up me for doing nothing, so we finally both pulled our fingers out and did pretty well. So yeah, and Brady and all the guys for running the league, and you guys for the broadcast and everything else.
Well, brilliant stuff from Joel Berkeley in this 4th round of the championship. And it was also a brilliant round for the 51 of Bradley Oldfield, mate. You just missed out on getting into the top 10 redraw, but from 11th to 3rd, that's quite a way to cap off your 50th ODSE start.
Oh, it was a bit of a nightmare from qualifying. I messed up both my laps and ended up starting 5th in the heat, which is less than ideal. I know it was pretty fast all night. But I was just playing catch up in the end, so getting 3rd was a bit of a win for me, just like moving forward. And then like the whole first half of the feature, I was just boxed in on the bottom, couldn't really move anywhere. So once I was able to get like the track come to me a bit more and move around, I seemed to start making my way forward. I really think I was a contender for the win, but I was just trying to play nice with Joel because team championship and all that, and he was just as deserving to have a shot at the win, so I didn't want to ruin that race in that aspect. So, but it seemed to be a bit of a cool finish, so can't complain.
Absolutely. You were 16th in the championship coming into this round, and with that points haul that you've gotten from tonight, surely that's going to make a big difference to your standings coming into the next round at Eldora. Flat out round the whole way around there, and well, it's a place that everyone knows like the back of their hands. Do you have any projections for the next round?
No real goals. Just try and keep being consistent. But yeah, just trying to show up every week and just keep going and just keep on digging, see if I can find something setup wise that'll just get me up the front properly with the top guys. As I said, I think I found something like with this set for like this week, but I don't know if I can transfer that over, like going to a big track. So I'll just have to see if I can find something else.
Well, wishing you the best of luck in that endeavour, Bradley. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just shout out to Darcy. Who's given me some good tips in there. Told me to rip the top wicked. So we're just doing the best. And yeah, I ended up those last couple of laps just getting to them, but just not really having any confidence to make a move without fucking up someone's race.
Well, Bradley Oldfield will go and celebrate his podium there as we bring things to an end here, Scott. Of course, the championship standings coming out of this round, Davies still holding on to a nice lead here coming out of this round, despite going backwards a bit in the feature. That unfortunate early exit by Ethan Winter really hurt him. As we'll end things here. Oh, all good.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Ethan Winter's gone from leading the championship to 99 points off the lead. Boy, that's a big hit. And yeah, I mean, that just explains his night quite succinctly. The fact that he was out on lap 1 of the C main, he was the first effectively exit of the night. That's, championship leader. Well, have a look at Blake Walsh though, down at the bottom end of those standings, 2 wins back to back, creeps his way into the top 10. Oh, and by the way, only needs 2 points to grab 2 more spots, so he's starting to find some momentum. This is starting to heat up. This is going to be a big year, I think, for ODSE.
Oh yeah, I think exactly the same, and we are only 4 rounds down. The 5th round of the championship will take place on the 1st of May at 8:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time, so mark that date in your calendar right now if you liked what you saw tonight, because it's going to be incredible. The crown jewel round of this series, the DM Cinematography Eldora Royale, part of the 2025 Wide Open Clothing Australian Sprint Car Championship Series by Oceanic Dirt Sim event. Well, thanks very much to Neuropower for your support of this round, the Neuropower Awards South Dakota Brawl at Huset Speedway here on SimSpeed TV, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. I'm Reese Gardner. Scott Rankin joined me in the comms box for this round, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes in the producer's chair, bringing you these live pictures. Thanks very much, everybody, for watching. We'll see you again next time.